Sifter for the ear.
News, interviews, reviews, cinema, TV, streaming. Action!
Hi y'all, this is Jerry Williams, aka TV Jerry. The Virginia Screenwriters Forum presents its 4th annual short film showcase in the auditorium at the Institute for Contemporary Art at VCU. It'll be August 17th from 1 to 4 p.m., featuring original shorts written, directed, and produced by its members. Admission is free, and I'll have a link on the webpage for this show at tvjerry.com.
So Zach sold trees. I believe they were walnut trees.
78 of them.
78 walnut trees to make up a pretty fair chunk of the budget.
We have 15 acres on the Shenandoah River where we shot the movie, and there's nothing but trees behind us. We're bordered by the Washington-Jefferson National Forest.
Those were today's guests talking about one unusual way they raise money for their feature, The Hitchhiker Effect, which is about a beleaguered conspiracy theorist who struggles to understand the weird events that begin when the neighbors drop by. That character is played by Michael Beardsley, who's also a co-producer along with Zach Van Eyck, who wrote and directed the film. It'll play as part of the Richmond Film Network's day-long Indie Fest, Saturday, August 9th at noon at the Park RVA. We'll talk about the challenges of making a feature film for under $20,000.
Sifter Review of the Week.
Good Cop, Bad Cop, on Prime Video or on the CW if you have cable. Leighton Meester and Luke Cook star as siblings who are also detective partners on their small-town police force. She's got a breezy comic style while he creates a stiff, serious brother who's equally amusing. Not only is their chemistry delightful, every member of the cast has a unique, slightly quirky personality that adds more fun. Each week presents a new case that they set about to solve with some clever work. The writing offers regular laughs thanks to showrunner John Quaintaints, who among other things was an executive producer for Will and Grace. This series is helped by its sincere silliness while offering a few moments of heart to soften the humor. This is the type of show that stands out for its uniqueness, and if it gets a second season, will develop the characters and their relationships to a memorable and entirely enjoyable hit. I gave Good Cop, Bad Cop 4.5 out of 5 stars. So my guests today are the writer and the co-producers of The Hitchhiker Effect, Zach Van Eyck and Michael Beardsley. Welcome to Sifter for the Ear, guys.
Well,
Thanks for having us.
First of all, Zach, I have to ask you, obviously you're the writer of this, and you've been writing your whole career. How did you get started as a writer?
Well, I started at Mayberry Elementary School there in Richmond in 2nd grade, and I just started filling up short story books. And then when we moved to Woodstock, Virginia, where I am now, we left Richmond after 3rd grade. When I was in 6th grade, I wrote an entire book, a fictional book about a football team, and all my friends were in it, and my mom privately published it.
Oh.
So it came out in 7th grade. It was pretty cool, except that by the time I was in 7th grade, I was such a better writer than I was in 6th grade that I was embarrassed by the book because it was my Anyway, and then I became a sports writer when I was 14 when we moved to Alaska.
Wow.
I got a freelance job for the Anchorage Times, and I wrote sports all through high school and got a scholarship to Vanderbilt. So there you go.
So you've been a reporter, like you mentioned, all over the place, and you were in Richmond for 86 and 87, freelancing for News Leader and Style, right?
Right, yeah, and the Richmond African American as well. Did a lot of freelance. I was thinking about that last night. That winter, 86, 87, there was a big snowfall in Richmond that closed the schools for a whole week, and that took away my income because I was freelance. And if there are no basketball games, and there's no money for Zach. So, so that's the only time in my life that I've really cursed the snow because I like it otherwise.
And then after that, you moved to Salt Lake City, and that kind of changed your career, didn't it?
When I was in Santa Fe at the New Mexican before I went to Salt Lake, I was there from 91 to 94. And that's where, as the county reporter for Santa Fe County, I started reporting about cattle mutilations and UFO sightings, which were connected. And these guys were seeing lights coming down at night and going back up. And then they would go out and they would find a mutilated cow. And that's their profit for the whole year. So we were covering it from that standpoint. And the state, the government, nobody would do anything. And so we wrote a bunch of stories about that. And then when I moved to Salt Lake, I told them in 94, when I got hired, I told them everything I had done in Santa Fe. 2 years went by. And in the summer of 96, when the Independence Day, the movie was coming out, they came to me and said, hey, why don't you see if there's been any local UFO activity? And of course, I'd been up there for 2 years and I was doing my own investigative work and I knew what was going on. So the minute they said that, I knew where to go. I went out to the Uinta Basin and I ended up uncovering the Sherman family who lived on Skinwalker Ranch and broke that story on June 30th, 1996.
And that turned into this movie that we're going to be talking about, right?
Yes, and I've actually got a script that is about the Sherman family's nightmare, but there's so many special effects there because they were seeing, windows opening in the sky,
Right.
UFOs coming out, UFOs going in a grid pattern along the ranch, and a lot of that's in our movie. And that is the script I would love to get produced because it's a blockbuster. It's like Poltergeist, it's like Close Encounters, but it's a big budget.
Right.
The Hitchhiker Effect is a thing that actually exists, that the researchers who've gone out there on the ranch, and this has been covered on the History Channel's reality show, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, where sometimes the activity will follow you home. You'll go 1,000 miles away, go back to LA, go back to DC, and some of the same paranormal activity that you saw out on the ranch is occurring at your house.
Right.
And it's like, okay, how does that happen? So that's what we're exploring in this movie.
Surprise guest drop in.
And before we go any further, and Michael, we haven't ignored you. We're going to get to you. But since it's going to be playing at the Richmond Film Network, we got somebody who wanted to drop in and say hello here.
Yay!
Hey.
Hi, Lisa.
Footnote.
Lisa is Lisa Giles, the director of the Richmond Film Network and producer of Richmond's 48-hour film project. You know, it's funny. Somebody talked to me recently. They said, Andy Edmonds, you should get a special jacket for being on the show so many times, like they do on Saturday Night Live. So I think I might have to get you one, too, because this is easily your fourth or fifth time on the show.
Easily.
So, Lisa, you're the force behind the Richmond Film Network. Why don't you give us a little input on what that is and how this movie is going to figure into that and what else is going to be happening?
We do a lot of things. Among them is Indie Fest, and this is our second season of Indie Fest. We operate a little bit differently than most festivals. Most festivals do one big festival per year. We do multiple. Our first season, we did 7. This year,
Wow.
we're doing 4, one each quarter. And this next one coming up where the Hitchhiker Effect will be featured is our third. It's coming on August the 9th, and Hitchhiker Effect is kicking it all off. And we'll have 3 other blocks follow that, all shorts blocks following. And we've got 18 films throughout the day, and probably about 61% of them are Virginia films.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah, so big focus on Virginia filmmakers.
Great, it should be. So how did you find Zach in the Hitchhiker Effect? Or did he find you?
Zach found me. But I did know his AD, Kat.
Cat Vivaldi, yes.
Yeah. So Kat had submitted in season 1, and she had a film submitted in season 1. But yeah, so he found me and we saw the film. And when it was originally submitted, we couldn't fit it in. We just didn't have time. So we were glad that we had an opportunity to bring it around for our third event of the season.
Great.
And if I could just say real quick, Jerry, Lisa, thank you so much. We're so excited to have this is our Virginia premiere because we thought our film festival run was over. It was a 14-month run. We started in LA in February of 2024, premiering there. And then we thought we ended our run this past April in New York. And then we got the email from Lisa and said, yay, Virginia. Because we tried to get, we applied for the one in Charlottesville, the Richmond Film Festival. We couldn't apply for it because their deadline's like 7 months out, just didn't work out. But we applied to like some of the newer, smaller festivals in Virginia and didn't get in. And we were so bummed. But to be in Richmond, yay! Thank you. This is coincidental, but my family reunion is in Richmond at like 1 in the afternoon. So I'm trying to get all my family to come to the screening first. So I'm hoping to have like 20 people there.
Oh, that'll be cool. Well, Lisa, I know you're busy all the time. Every time I walk into Movie Land, you're running another festival or something. So I want to let you go, but anything else you want to say about the festival or what's coming up that people might find interesting?
Just come on out. It's going to be a great day with, again, a high focus on local filmmakers. So what better way to support our ecosystem than to come on out and see some great films?
Terrific. And we'll, of course, have a link on the webpage for this show to it so people can get tickets and all that stuff.
Great. Michael, it's good to see you. We haven't chatted, but it's good to see you.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much. I look forward to hearing about the next exciting adventure you got going on.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us, Lisa. Thank you.
Zach, I'll see you soon.
Let's talk about the film a little bit. So, Michael, you're co-producer as well as an actor. How did you and Zach, have y'all worked together before? How did he rope you into this project?
Well, by putting me in it. But I met Zach through a group called We Make Movies, which is a bunch of people who get together and make movies.
Make movies. Well, that's an original title for that, isn't it?
Yeah. So he was coming in as a writer, bringing some pretty outlandish comedies in. Zach started producing short/web series, and then he put me in one as a character called Michael Fluffer.
Was this a porno?
Well, it's called Coitus of the Week, and it's a man and a woman trying to force each other to have an orgasm. And it's there's no nudity, but it's kind of like professional wrestling. It's a sports sex satire, and it's no longer available. It was on Amazon
Oh,
Prime,
okay.
and then it was on YouTube, and then they cut it out because they thought it was inappropriate. But it's funny.
Oh, okay.
And we won a lot of festival awards before.
Well, good, good.
But yes, I worked with Zach on that just as a performer, and then we kind of realized we work well together. So then he started writing me into all of his scripts. So We Make Movies, a film collective that I now help run, was having a 25K challenge in which they had three people coming in willing to pay $25,000, and then all the people were going to bring scripts that would be producible for that amount. We'd come in and we'd pitch them and all that kind of stuff. So I said, hey, Zach, why don't you write something for this? So he specifically wrote something for this contest.
The Hitchhiker Effect, yeah.
And then we promptly didn't even get past the semifinals.
Oh, great. And it's okay. Thank you very much for the interview. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
The contest was great motivation for us, though, because now, we had a finished script that we realized, okay, maybe we can shoot this. And Jerry, what happened is this SAG-AFTRA, the union, came up with this micro budget agreement. Basically, it says if you can make the film for less than $20,000, then you can use union actors and you can pay them nothing or whatever they agree to. And then if it turns out well, then you can pay them the full salary and then you can be released commercially. So that's what we're doing. We started with a micro budget, and that's how we were able to shoot the whole thing, production and post-production, for under $20,000. But the union, that agreement only allows you to show at film festivals. So if you want to go streaming, you've got to pay the actors. So that's where we are now, and it's going to cost about $7,000, and that's fine. We have that. But we set that aside because what if the movie sucked? We would have saved $7,000. Of course, the actors would have been out. But that was kind of the safe way to do it. I think the next time we'll go ahead and do a ULB budget because we know we can do this for about $30,000.
So obviously you directed it and wrote it, Zach, and the character that Michael plays happens to be a writer. Imagine that. So I'm assuming there's some kind of autobiographical edges to this. There's also
Absolutely.
some references to astrological issues, and I know that you're an astrologer. So have either of you ever actually had an alien encounter?
Not me.
Nope.
Do you believe in a Ouija board? Because obviously there's one in the movie, so I just wondered if that was based on any experience or...
Yes. My personal experience with the Ouija board is that my ex-wife is very psychic, and we lived in Colorado, and she had a really good friend, and the two of them would get on the board together. And actually, both of my daughters, and I believe this to be true, came in and talked to us before they were born because I took notes. I was the one writing the notes, and they turned out exactly the way they said they would. And so who knows if that was really them, but I think it was.
Right.
But yeah, so I had real positive experience with it. And a few other times later in my life where people have had psychic ability, we've gotten on there. So I was comfortable with it. You just have to protect yourself. You just have to surround yourself with light, purple and white light. And I will add this, that Allison, when we did that scene, Allison had recently lost her grandmother. And I know that she felt a very strong presence of her grandmother when we were doing that scene. And she told me that partly she was calling on her grandmother to help with that because she could feel her grandmother's presence, and that just brought all the emotion to the front. So that scene is wonderful. And her deceased grandmother may have helped a little. So.
And Klaatu Baratu Nikto. Of course, I caught that. I remember it I don't quite remember when it came out, but I remember it from way back then.
Footnote.
That phrase is what the invading alien robot utters in the classic science fiction thriller, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Why did you drop that in there?
We have to give John Bigham credit for that. He's the guy who plays Seth, and that was an ad lib line from John.
Oh, okay. Yep. This is a little technical question, but I just had to ask because I know they have these really cool LED lights that can pretty much create anything. When you were doing the fireside scenes, were you using an LED with the fire effect, or were you having a real fire in there?
Well, we had a real fire because we've got the gas fireplace, but I know that Kyle Fightmaster, our gaffer, I know that he rigged that up. He did a great job. He's also the one who rigged the Ouija board scenes, and we couldn't have done the film without Kyle. He's awesome. I want to mention that Kyle went to VCU, and actually 4 of our crew members we got out of Richmond. 3 of them went through the VCU program, and Kat went to Virginia Tech. So we couldn't have done this film without 4 Richmond people. Are very important, and hopefully they're all going to be at the screening.
The fire was only real fire when it was on camera. Otherwise, it was an LED.
So a little bit of both. That's good. So I did notice one thing, and I know you're on a low budget, but all of the actors, all 4 of the main actors, were in the same wardrobe for several days in a row. And I thought, well, come on, they got to have another shirt out there. Was there a thinking behind that?
Yes, well, of course, you've seen the film, so you know at the end it all works out and you understand the deal. I wrote it that way in part because it's a lot easier to shoot if you don't have wardrobe changes and it helps
Sure.
for continuity. So, yes, Jerry, that was something I specifically wrote in there to help us shoot this thing in 6 days.
Right.
Am I insane? Everybody thought I was. But that was a story thing, but also it was like as a producer, because as I'm writing, I'm writer, director, and producer.
Right.
It's like, oh, this really helps because then we don't have to worry about wardrobe continuity, made things a lot more fluent.
And technically, I was wearing two different shirts. They just looked exactly the same.
Right, right. The blue shirts.
Because one of them at some point in the movie gets a little dirty.
Yeah, it does. Right,
Yes.
right. Now, speaking of when you took off your shirt, Michael, there is a sex scene. Did you have an Did you? Oh, you're laughing. Did you have an intimacy coordinator for that, or did y'all just kind of just go for it?
That was not even planned, but when we finished shooting early for the day, we're like, well, should we try to do something? And
I had it planned. I was hoping that we could make time for it. But yeah, it's and the thing is it's not really a sex scene. I mean, there's clothes on. It's a romantic scene, yes, but the micro budget doesn't allow you to do that, to have sex scenes. So we had to be really careful. So, it's enough, but it's not too much.
I know it's micro budget, but I think you had some interesting ways of financing the film.
so Zach sold trees. I believe they were walnut trees.
78 of them.
78 walnut trees to make up a pretty fair chunk of the budget.
And where were they?
Here, we have 15 acres on the Shenandoah River where we shot the movie. And there's nothing but trees behind us. We're bordered by the Washington Jefferson National Forest. So.
And there was a blight coming, so the trees were going to die anyway. So it wasn't like we just clear cut a bunch of trees to make money. It was,
Right.
they were going to die anyway, so we got a chunk of our budget from them.
That's great. What were some of the challenges you had on this shoot? I think you had some actor issues.
Well, I would say the biggest challenge that I ran into financially was that, I used astrology to pick out the week that we should shoot, and it was the second week in April, and it worked out great, and the astrology was really good. But in the process of that, I didn't pay attention to the fact that Easter was on that Sunday. So all of my budget where I planned on getting my actors out for about 300 round trip, it ended up being 800 round trip because it was the Easter weekend. But again, that worked out well. We had to fly Allison and Michael out on a Friday. We couldn't afford to bring them out on Saturday. The shoot started on Monday. And that worked out great because they were here early. And that's one of the reasons why we were able to shoot this in 6 days is because Michael and Allison were totally prepared. We did 13 pages in the bedroom where I'm speaking from right now. That was all the scenes from the bedroom. We did it in 11 hours on the first day. 13 pages got out of the way. And the only way we could do that, Jerry, is because our actors were off book and they nailed it. They were one take wonders. We do one take. It was perfect. And then I'd say, well, let's do a second take for safety. And then we'd move on. It was incredible.
And you had one Virginia actor in there. Well, you had three Virginia actors, but you had one in one of the lead roles. And we'll talk about the other two in a minute.
Yes, I actually have 4 Virginia actors because Dale, voiceover actor at the end. But yes, and my daughter and my mom were in it as well, and they did very well. But yes, Laverne Chesson, who lives in Morristown, she actually lives 13 miles from the set. And I was so happy because we had an actress from LA that was more or less attached, but the scheduling didn't work for her. So I had to scramble, and I really wanted a minority actress for that role. And I'm out here in, white bread Shenandoah County. It's hard to find people, but I lucked out. Laverne was on Backstage.com, and she had done some musical theater, but she'd never done a film, but she was really interested. Oh, you can't tell, Jerry. You watch the 4 lead actors, and you can't tell which one is not from LA. She did a great job.
She did indeed. And mom and daughter were okay with doing it. Did they want to do it, or did you say, I don't have the money to pay anybody?
Well, yeah, that was pretty much it. Well, my daughter, Sammy, she's a great actress, but she's very humble. She was very nervous about it. She doesn't want to act for me again. She will not watch this performance because she's very humble and embarrassed. But she did a great job, and my mom was good too. My mom and daughter got to work together, and they were both born on September 28th. They're both Libras, and they're very close. So that was really good. They had good chemistry on screen.
Now, what's happening with distribution? I know you got to still do the festivals, but what's happening with that?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I was up till 7 a.m. working on the metadata that we've got to turn in now. It's good, Jerry. Basically, if you have an independent film, for people who are out there, basically Film Hub is the way to go if you can't find anybody else. Okay. But you got to do a lot of it yourself. And then there's Indie Rights, which rejected us, unfortunately. And then beyond that, there's Bitmax. And we basically hired them because instead of having someone take $15,000 from our profits. We pay them $4,000. They get us up online everywhere, and then we get a lot more money coming back in. So that's what we settled on, and I'm pretty happy with it because they do give us someone who's working with us to do all. I mean, there's so much involved with getting it up on streaming services. But at this point, we're on schedule to be released in October, and we're going to have 2 screenings October 3rd and 4th here in Woodstock at the Community Theater, which has been here since 1940. And when we lived in Woodstock, we lived in my grandfather's house. This was 4th grade through 8th grade, right across the street from the theater. So this is where I grew up as a kid. All my interest in becoming a filmmaker was right there in that theater. And we're going to have 2 public screenings in October right before it releases on October 7th on streaming services.
That's great. That's full circle, isn't it?
And the cast is going to be there.
Oh, good, good.
Oh,
So-
yes. All the actors are coming out for that in October. And Laverne will be up there in Richmond this next week.
So, Michael, how was this experience for you? Because you were producing and on camera the whole time.
Yeah, well, fortunately, most of the producing stuff I did was more in the planning stage. And once I got to set, I was more or less just an actor. I mean, now and then I might have a conversation or two with Zach. But as an actor, it was great because so often, I mean, even like the project that Zach and I were hoping to do a few years earlier, these things fall apart before they actually happen.
Right.
So when we were actually flying out there and Zach was picking us up at the airport, it was just like, wow, I actually just got flown across the country to do a film. That's
Yeah,
so
really.
cool. And then the whole week, I mean, everything went so smooth. And as Zach said in one of our little behind the scenes interview things, he's almost afraid to do another movie because things couldn't possibly go that well again.
Very true.
Right. Well, speaking of that, what do you have next? You mentioned the feature you wanted to do based on the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes, well, The Devil's Ranch is my script that's based on the origin of Skinwalker Ranch, and that's going to require, a lot of help, a major executive producer to come in, and I'm going to promote that at every step as I promote the Hitchhiker Effect. So we're hopeful on that. In the meantime, let's see, I have 4 scripts I could shoot for under $50,000. I have a couple ready to go right now, including the one we want to do next, which is called The Love Machine, and I'll ask Michael to talk about it a little bit because I think The Love Machine, and I wrote this script in particular for Michael, I think actors like this type of script. Can you explain, Michael, why I'm saying that?
Yeah. Well,
Because there's lots of
basically-
nudity, right?
yeah, that's why he wants to do the low budget instead of micro budget.
Right. Oh, there you go.
No, it's basically a kind of mad scientist guy played by John Bigham invents basically a robotic person for his daughter to test out. And that robot is me. Throughout the course of the movie, the robot has to try out different personalities because they're not really working for her. And then there's also, accidentally, they based it on someone who really exists in the town. So I also have to play the guy who the robot looks like. So that's why actors like that kind of role. I get to play a bunch of different roles in one movie.
There you go.
And
Great.
obviously, as you might have been able to tell from the plot, this one's definitely more on the comedy side.
Oh, good. One question I always like to ask everybody, when you're not working on your projects, and it seems like you're doing that all the time, what are you watching? Anything on TV, a movie, streaming, anything you're watching right now?
So I watch a lot of stuff, but I just watched the new Dexter show, actually.
Not the prequel, but the new one with Michael C. Hall.
Yeah, because I mean, it was on my list to see. Then I was at Comic-Con, and I saw a little presentation they had there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go home and watch this. And yeah, it's really good.
I'm enjoying it.
Have you seen Fantastic Four yet, Michael?
I haven't.
Yeah, I'm going Monday to see it. Zach, how about you? Anything? Or are you just up all night writing?
Yeah, pretty much up all night writing, doing astrology readings for my friends, which I've got a couple of those to do. But I depend on Michael because he watches all this stuff that comes out and he tells me what's going on because usually when my TV's on, it's the Dodgers.
Oh, okay.
I've got the MLB package, so Dodgers are on every night in my household. Yeah, I think I'm more of a writer than I am a watcher. It's hard for me to sit still. I think Michael mentioned that to start.
Yeah, I can tell. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much. This was great to get the chance to talk with both of you and hear about the movie. And I want to wish you good luck with The Hitchhiker Effect this coming week and in the future.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thank you for having us.
That was today's guest talking about their new feature, The Hitchhiker Effect. It's about a conspiracy theorist who struggles to understand the paranormal events that begin when his neighbors drop by. Zach Van Eyck wrote and directed the film, along with Michael Beardsley, who was a co-producer and lead actor in the film. It'll be part of the Richmond Film Network's day-long Indie Fest, Saturday, August 9th at noon at the Park RVA, and I'll have a link on the webpage for this show at tvjerry.com.
Coming soon. In theaters.
Freakier Friday. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan switch mother-daughter roles again 33 years later, with extra family to complicate matters. Weapons. One night at 2:17 a.m., every child from the same class woke up, got out of bed, and walked out into the dark, leaving the community to figure out what happened, with Josh Brolin and Julia Garner. Sketch. When a young girl's sketchbook falls into a strange pond, her monster drawings come to life. It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley. This documentary features never-before-seen footage, voice messages, and accounts from Jeff Buckley's friends to paint a portrait of the musician who died in 1997 after releasing only one album. My Mother's Wedding. Originally made in 2023 and directed by Kristen Scott Thomas, three sisters return to their home for the third wedding of their twice-widowed mother. But things hopefully get amusing when a group of unexpected guests show up, with Scarlett Johansson, Sienna Miller, and Scott Thomas. Strange Harvest. This movie's sadistic killer is Mr. Shiny, who embarks on a new wave of grotesque, otherworldly crimes.
TV and streaming.
Outlander, Blood of My Blood on Starz. With Outlander in its final season comes this prequel that focuses on the parents of the original show's lovers, one set living in World War I England with the other in 18th century Scotland. Alien Earth on FX and Hulu. Noah Hawley created the great TV series Fargo and Legion, and he's helming the first live-action TV series in the Alien franchise. It takes place before the original movie when xenomorphs have landed on Earth. The Pickup on Prime. A routine cash pickup turns into a deadly pursuit when two mismatched armored truck drivers are ambushed by ruthless criminals, starring Eddie Murphy, Pete Davidson, and Keke Palmer. Miss Governor on Netflix. From Tyler Perry comes this series about Mississippi's first black lieutenant governor who must manage her zany family and overcome a boss who's stuck in the past. Butterfly on Prime. Daniel Day Kim plays a former U.S. intelligence operative who finds himself pursued by a sociopathic agent assigned to kill him. Fixed on Netflix. Bull, an average dog, discovers he's going to be neutered in the morning and sets out for one last adventure with his pack of buddies. This animation features the voices of Kathryn Hahn, Idris Elba, and Adam Devine. Night Always Comes on Netflix. Risking everything to secure a future for herself and her brother, Lynette sets out on a dangerous odyssey with Vanessa Kirby and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Nexoxa on Hulu follows the club's relocation from Mexico City with Ryan Reynolds and Eva Longoria. Iron Man and his awesome friends on Disney. Three genius superheroes, Iron Man, Ironheart, and Iron Hulk, work together in iron suits to protect their city. Platonic on Apple. This comedy series returns for a second season, starring Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen as just friends. You know, you can subscribe to this podcast on the usual platforms or go to TV Jerry, click on the podcast tab, and there's a link to enroll. Next week, we'll meet the woman behind Real Families for Change, and that's spelled R-E-E-L, which gives you some kind of hint of what we'll be talking about. This is Jerry Williams. Thanks for listening.
For more Sifter, including literally thousands of reviews,
Visit tvjerry.com.
That's a wrap.